Hi everybody, so this video is going to go over our Big Ideas math assignment. It is chapter 4, Maintaining Mathematical Proficiency. What that means is these are all the things you need to know before we even begin going over chapter 4. So if there's anything on here that you still don't know, you're going to have a lot of trouble on chapter 4. So we always want to do these first so that we make sure that we know all of the things that we need to just to begin to understand the new concepts that we are going to start learning. Some of this is going to be kind of a repeat of what we did on our last two assignments. Those were just review assignments from Integrated 1A. So let's take a look at this here. Here we are looking at a coordinated plane, has lots of points on it, and we need to find the pair that is point G. So we talked about on the last video that to find what the numbers are for any of these points, you always start at the origin, and then you see how many to the right or left, and then how many up or down you need to go to get to that point. So the first number is always your x value. Again, remember the alphabet, x, y, z, x comes first in the alphabet, it also comes first here. So to get to point G, how many points do we have to go left or right? Well, we're going to have to go left, which means it's going to be a negative number, and we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points to the left. So negative 5 is going to be our x value. Then how many points up or down do we have to go? Well, we have to go down, so that means it's going to be a negative number as well, and negative 1, 2. So negative 2 is going to be our x value. Again, just like your other assignments, you have that check answer button, so always remember to hit the check answer button before you move on so that you can make sure you get 100% on every single assignment we have. So here it's asking us what point D is. So again, x comes first. So on the x-axis, how many do we have to go right? 1, 2. So our x value is going to be 2. And then to get to point D, how many do we have to go up or down? Well, we don't have to go up or down at all. It's actually located on the x-axis. So that would be 0. Hit that check answer button, make sure you're right. All right, now we haven't really talked about this. We kind of glazed over it in the Integrated 1A. We didn't spend a whole lot of time on it, so I'll just let you know. Each section here, there are 4 sections. The X and the Y axis kind of separate this into 4 boxes. And this up here, upper right, where you're going to find all your positive numbers, the x and the y value will both be positive if you're in this quadrant. We call this quadrant 1. So what point is in quadrant 1? That would be point C. And for the rest of the quadrants, it actually goes counterclockwise. So a clock goes around this way, so it's counterclockwise. This is quadrant 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So this is 1, and then it goes counterclockwise 2, 3, and 4. Now, if you were to put a lowercase c, let's see, just out of curiosity, if you were to put a lowercase c, it's going to mark it wrong. Anytime you're talking about points on a graph, we always use capital letters. So make sure you put a capital C in the box so that you will get marked correct. All right, so which point is in quadrant 4? Again, this is 1, so they go counterclockwise, 2, 3, 4, and E is in quadrant 4. All right, for these next ones, again, we're doing just a little bit of basic algebra, so this is more the first thing that we did here. Let me erase all that from my last video. And here we have x minus y equals 5. So they're telling us they want us to solve for y. So all that means is they want y to be by itself on this side of the equation. Remember, when we're doing algebra, we are just manipulating this equation in different ways so that we end up with just a y on one side of the equation. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other side, and that makes it remain balanced. So there's actually a couple different ways you can do this. Um, so really we just want to get this x out of this side of the equation. So we do that by simply subtracting x from both sides. Now you can't subtract a variable from a constant. A constant is a number that does not have a variable attached to it. So this will remain negative y, can't lose your negative sign, still with the y, equals 5 minus x. Now, over here, we have a negative y. So they want to solve for positive y. So we need to get this. So remember, this is actually negative 1y. So just like we did before, if we want to get rid of the negative 1, we're actually going to divide by negative 1. And we have to divide everything over on this side by negative 1. So these negative ones will cancel out, leaving us just a y equals 5 divided by negative 1 is negative 5. And negative x divided by negative 1. Again, this is negative 1x, so this is again just going to cancel that out and make this plus x. So this would be our answer here, negative 5 plus x. So let me get that typed in, negative 5 plus x. Hit that check answer button, make sure you're correct, and we are. All right, so we have a little bit more complex, longer equation here. 6x plus 3y equals negative 1. And again, they want us to solve for y. So we need to just keep doing stuff to this equation here until we end up with just a y on this side. So the first thing we can do is get rid of this 6x by subtracting 6x from both sides. Again, you can't subtract 6x from a negative 1. Because they are not like terms. So they're both just going to stay over on this side of the equation. These will cancel out, leaving us 3y equals negative 1 minus 6x. And next thing we have to do is we need to get rid of this 3. Since it's 3 times y, we are going to divide both sides by 3. And again, we have to divide everything on this side by 3. So these 3's will cancel out, leaving us y on this side, which is what we needed. Here we have negative 1 over 3, so that's just going to remain a fraction, negative 1 over 3. And here we have negative 6 divided by 3, which is negative 2. So negative 2x. So this is going to be our answer here. Let's get it typed up over on the side. So the answer was negative 1/3 minus 2x. If you were to write negative 2x minus 1/3, that is the same, and it would have also marked that correct. All right, for our next one here. So here we have 0 equals 2y minus 8x plus 10. Again, it wants us to solve for y, so we need to keep manipulating this equation here until we figure out just have y on this side of the equation, or this side. It doesn't really matter which side you go with. Now what we could do, we could add 8x to both sides, then subtract 10 from both sides, then divide, but we don't really need to do all that. Let's just go ahead and get our y over to this side of the equation. So if we subtract 2y from both sides, so we have 0 minus 2y, which is just negative 2y, equals, and everything else just remained the same over here, plus 10. Now we can get rid of this negative 2 over here, just leaving us y. So again, you have to do every part divided by negative 2. So now these cancel out, leaving us y equals negative 8 divided by negative 2 is positive 4. Remember, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So 4x. And here, positive divided by a negative will give us a negative, and negative 5. So 4x minus 5 is our answer. 4x minus 5. All right, just to show you that there is actually another way that you could have gone about doing this, I'm going to go ahead and back up. So you can see I already did find the correct answer. But when it comes to algebra, there's different ways that you can do things. And again, as long as you do the same thing to both sides of the equation, you will find the right answer. So what we could do here, and it's going to be a little bit more of a roundabout way, We could have added 8x to both sides. And then that's going to leave us with 8x. You don't have to write the plus 0 because it's 0 equals 2y plus 10. We just got rid of that part. Now we want to subtract 10 from both sides. And again, these are not like terms, so you cannot directly subtract the 10 from the 8. You have to write out the whole thing. It's going to stay 8x minus 10. And now we just have the 2y. And then here we're going to, again, divide by 2. So you can see there was a couple extra steps here, but we do eventually get to the same place. So 8 divided by 2 is 4x. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. These 2's cancel, leaving us y. So again, we got the same answer, but we went about it a different way. So I first moved the y over here and then got rid of everything else. So that was a little shortcut, but we could have done it this way as well. We just remove everything from the side that the y is on. All right, so again, on this one, we are solving for y. We have negative x plus 4y minus 28 equals 0. So again, we could remove everything from this side until we are just left with the y. I think it'd probably be easier just to move the y over here. Then we just have to remove a negative 4 from that y. So let's go that route. Minus 4y on both sides. That's going to leave us with negative x minus 28 equals 4 negative 4y. Make sure you don't lose your negatives like I almost just did. So now we can just simply divide both sides by negative 4. Again, we need to divide everything over on this side by negative 4. Again, keeping in mind this is negative 1x, so we're going to divide that by negative 4. Negative divided by negative is going to leave us a positive, and it's actually going to be 1/4 x. Again, we have negative divided by negative 28 divided by 4, which is 7. So it's going to be plus 7. And that's going to equal, these cancel out, just leaving us a y. So over here, it's going to be y equals 1/4 x plus 7. So let's see how we do that. 1/4 x plus 7. Oops, plus 7. Make sure I did that right. Yes, all right. Moving on. Again, these are just getting a little repetitive here, but repetition is the absolute best way to learn how to do things, so we are going to keep going until we have all of these correct. All right, so here we have like terms on both sides. So here, I wouldn't want to move the y over. Let's just go ahead and get rid of these things here. So first thing, we're going to add an 1x to both sides. And so these will now cancel out, and we'll get 8x over here. And we have 2y plus 1 over here. And then all we have to do is subtract 1 from both sides. Again, you can't subtract a 1 from an 8x. Those are not like terms. So these will cancel, leaving us 2y equals 8x minus 1. And now we're going to divide everything by 2. And these will cancel, leaving us y equals 8 divided by 2 is 4x. And then minus 1/2. So 4x minus 1/2. 4x minus 1/2. All right, so this one here gets a little more complicated. So we're solving for y still. So you would think, well, just add plus y to both sides. So this is going to take a little bit. So add 4 to both sides. So these will cancel, leaving us y equals 3x plus 5y plus 4. So, but we can't just leave this 5y over here, so we're actually going to have to subtract 5y. So we can't have the same variable on both sides. That is not a completely simplified equation. So again, this is 1y. We're subtracting 5y. So that's going to leave us with negative 4y equals 3x plus 4. Because here we had plus 5y minus 5y. So that's going to cancel out. So here is what we're left with. So now we just have to get rid of this negative 4. Again, we have to divide by 4 on everything, divide by negative 4. So now this will cancel, leaving us just y equals. Fractions like this, you just keep them how they are, so it just becomes 3 over negative 3 over 4x. And then 4 divided by negative 4 is negative 1. So this will be our answer here, negative 3 over 4x minus 1. Negative 3 over 4x and minus 1. Make sure that's correct. Yes. Okay, so this is our last one here. This is going to get a little confusing. So here are quadrants again. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. They start in the upper right and go counterclockwise around. So this is asking us, so if both coordinates of the point x, y are multiplied by a negative number, how is that going to change the location? So let's think about what the x, y values need to be in each of these coordinates. So in here, we're going to have a positive x and a positive y. In here, we're going to have a negative x and a positive y. In this quadrant, it will be negative x and negative y. And then in this quadrant, it will be a positive x and a negative y. So anything below this x-axis is going to be a negative y. Above will be positive y. Anything to the right of the y-axis will be a positive x. Anything to the left will be a negative x. So if we were to multiply these by negative numbers, so if we multiply by a negative number, these will both become negative. So if these will become negative x and negative y, which means it will move from quadrant 1 to quadrant 3. So if it's in quadrant 2, it will then make it a positive x, negative y, and positive x, negative y is quadrant 4. This next one here will move from quadrant 3. So quadrant 3 is negative, negative, so it's going to move to quadrant 1. And then obviously this last one is quadrant 2, because if it's in quadrant 4, negative and positive x, negative y, it will move it to negative y, positive x, which is that one there. All right, that is the end of this assignment. Make sure you get it done. Make sure you get 100% by hitting that check answer button every time. If you have any questions about anything at all, please make sure you ask, and I will see you all tomorrow.